It is December 1963, and a letter is arriving at the homes of thousands of workers in South Bend, Indiana. Some of these men have spent 40 years on the factory floor. They did everything right. They showed up. They built cars. They waited for the retirement that had been promised to them. The letter tells them the plant is closing. What the letter does not tell them, what nobody ever told them, is that their pension fund has been quietly running short for years. Some of these workers will receive 15 cents on every dollar they were promised. The youngest ones will receive nothing at all. Thousands of people, $0. And every single word of it was perfectly legal. Studebaker was not a small company. Founded in 1852, it had grown into the largest employer the city had ever known. For more than a century, its name meant something: craftsmanship, longevity, an American industrial story told in steel and engine grease. By the post-war years, it was the last major independent automaker standing in a country increasingly dominated by General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. That dominance was the slow threat nobody could outrun. By the early 1960s, independent market share had collapsed to just 7%. Studebaker tried to compete. It could not. In December 1963, the company announced it would close its South Bend plant for good. The workers had a pension plan. The design was straightforward. The fund would be built up gradually over 30 years until it could cover everything. That was the theory. But when the plant closed, the fund was only 12 years into that schedule. Nobody had told the workers. The fund's liabilities exceeded its assets by $15 million. That gap fell entirely on the people who could least afford it. Think of the pension fund as a bridge being built from both ends toward the middle. Workers walk onto their end from day one. The company builds from the other end, adding money year by year, aiming to meet in the middle after 30 years. Studebaker's bridge had only been under construction for 12 years when the company dynamited its half and walked away. The workers were already out on the span with nowhere to go. The $15 million shortfall was not distributed equally. The fund covered one group in full: retirees and workers aged 60 and older. They received everything they had been promised. Workers between 40 and 59 were in a different position. These were people who had given 4 decades to the company. They received approximately 15 cents on every dollar, not 15% of a small number. 15% of the retirement they had built their futures around. Workers younger than 40 received nothing, not a reduced amount, nothing at all. Here is what made this a weapon rather than simply a tragedy. Every part of it was operating exactly as the law permitted. In 1963, there were no federal rules requiring adequate assets, no vesting standards, no insurance backstop to step in. Companies could underfund their plans for years, terminate them when convenient, and walk away from obligations. Because there were no disclosure requirements, workers had no legal right to know whether their fund was healthy or hollowed out. There is no single fraudster in this story. The mechanism that destroyed these pensions was not a scheme. It was a system. The warning had already come once. In 1954, Studebaker had merged with the Packard Motor Car Company to form Studebaker-Packard. In 1958, Packard's own pension plan was terminated. Packard workers received even less than the Studebaker workers would. This convinced Walter Reuther of the UAW that members faced default risk, the risk that a plan terminates without the money to pay. By 1962, the UAW was promoting what it called a pension reinsurance proposal, a federal insurance program for private pensions, modeled on the way the government already protected bank deposits. The proposal went largely nowhere. Reformers needed a symbol. December 1963 provided it. The Studebaker closure was widely reported. The images landed with force. A Senate staffer later called Studebaker, with grim precision, the most glorious story of failure in the business. In August 1964, Indiana Senator Vance Hartke introduced the Federal Reinsurance of Private Pensions Act. It was a direct response to South Bend. Reformers invoked Studebaker for a decade as a reminder of what the absence of federal protection actually cost real people. What the Studebaker workers lost was concrete and permanent. Thousands saw their retirement security wiped out entirely. Studebaker did not face criminal charges. No individuals were prosecuted. The company had broken no law because no law existed to break. The reckoning came a decade later. In 1974, President Gerald Ford signed the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, ERISA, into law. Crucially, ERISA created the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, a federal insurance agency funded by premiums from covered pension plans, designed to do for retirement savings what the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation had done for bank deposits since 1933. Had that agency existed in 1963, the Studebaker workers would have been protected. It arrived 11 years too late for them. The Studebaker case belongs to a category that recurs throughout financial history, the legal trap. No fraud was committed, no law was broken. What makes this pattern so durable is the information gap at its center. The people most exposed were the ones with the least access to information. By the time the truth was visible, the damage was already done. The underlying habit of underfunding never entirely went away. Next on paper trail, the local government pension fund that paid out millions to retirees it could not afford, while officials told the public everything was fine.